This episode of The Patch is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, or online store. For a free trial and 10% off, go to squarespace.com and use offer code PATCH11. That's PATCH and the numbers 1 and 1. This episode of The Patch is brought to you by the mighty quest for epic loot. Build your own castle, plunder your friends, become the richest man in Opulencia, and never forget to brag about it. Buy a Double O Founders Pack now for early access to the beta, plus tons of exclusives. Visit www.themightyquest.com for more details. Hey everyone,
Hi.
Welcome to The Patch.
I've moved chairs.
It's Gus, Ryan, Ashley, Gus.
Yeah,
It's back.
People started defending the double intro.
There was so much
Saying they
popular
missed it.
outcry, and it went back and forth, and there was intense debate.
So I got a bunch of things. I set up a bunch of things here to talk about.
All right.
The first of which, we're talking about current gen while we're
Okay.
just to get started. PS3 announced that they have officially shipped 80 million consoles worldwide. So I believe the article I read said the Xbox 360 hit that number just in September.
Yeah, well, the one I read was October last month. Either way, just barely hit it.
Right.
But the one of the distinctions there is that the PlayStation released it like a year later.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they caught up a lot faster.
They have, although early in the year, I think in January, PS3 passed 360. So I guess 360 at some point between then and September, October, sort of took the lead back, and now they're like neck and neck. It's exciting. It's like a horse race.
And they're both, of course, well behind the Wii, which is sitting
Which is
comfortably
over
at 100
100
million.
million.
Somewhere in there, the
Crazy.
Xbox released that new refresh of the system, so that may have driven up a little bit of sales,
Which
right?
refresh of the system?
You know, the latest
Like a
one that's itty
billion.
bitty.
Oh,
The latest one
the
that kind of
E.
the one that,
The E? That's
that
the Slim
matches
Slim?
the
Yeah.
The one that's like
That's the new one that matches the look of the Xbox One.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which the one thing, I mean, I don't care what the console really looks like for the most part. The one thing that I really like about the E compared to the S is the fact that the eject button is no longer that touch-sensitive thing on the top. Because when you're sitting up close to it with like a games case or something, you always invariably end up hitting that eject button.
I just don't understand how that got through testing. Like, but like actual like real people using it, 9 times out of 10, you push that button, you go, God damn it! No one wants to hit it.
I mean, I guess devil's advocate. Most people aren't sitting a foot away from their Xbox. I mean, the games case is a really especially bad because you have to reach over the Xbox to get to the volume controls or the power on the TV. So you especially have to be careful there. But in most cases, the Xbox is across the room. It's sitting on a shelf.
But even so, I've almost never hit it intentionally. It's like like trying to change an input on the TV or adjust something, and suddenly there your Xbox is punching you in the stomach with a disc, and you worry that you just burned out the drive. It's the worst.
Yeah, in fact, it just happened right before we went live here. In the control room, someone had set down like a cup of iced coffee in front of their Xbox, accidentally brushed the eject, turned around and didn't notice that the drive was ejecting, and the drive started pushing the coffee over. And Blaine lost the ability to speak. He just started going, and he had to like run over and grab it before it fell on someone's keyboard.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's a time when language fails.
Yeah.
Coffee about to fall all over electronics. That's one of those
Immediate
times.
problem. Fix.
So the Wii, going back here to talk about
Yep.
existing generation console, the Wii officially stopped production in Japan, correct? Now there's only the Wii U, but they're releasing this Wii Mini in the US now.
That's gonna ruin so many Christmases.
I know. I just picture parents going to like a game store and be like, I want the new Wii to get it as a Christmas present, thinking
And they're like,
getting
oh,
a
it's
Wii U.
$99. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and on Christmas morning, they're gonna have no idea. Christmas morning, there's gonna be a kid who's like, we already have this. They sold 100 million of these already.
We have 3.
Yeah.
Would you argue the Wii U's even really made it to the level of current gen? I mean, it's still so far behind at a hardware level. I mean, I guess they're finally up to HD. Good for them.
Well, the Wii was on par. I mean, it was considered the same generation as Xbox 360
Even at the
and
time, though,
PS3.
no one really gave it a lot of credit. It's like, oh, Nintendo's just doing their thing.
That's true, but Nintendo is still kind of doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
not
they-
even part
they-
of the generations of console anymore. They've broken off into their own thing
It's
completely.
it's almost like it's become, and this is gonna sound like a dumb thing to say. It's the platform for playing Nintendo games. Like
Wow,
there
that's
are
like
no,
a dumb
Yeah,
thing to
that's
say,
true.
Gus.
there's like such little third-party support. It's like I'm buying the Wii just to play Mario, Zelda,
And you can probably be sure you're going to get one of those titles every now and again
Yeah.
for the life of the console.
Yep.
It is true. There's very few third-party, like, really breakout success titles for Wii. The one was Scribblenauts, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but in comparison to, like, every other platform, just nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was even that story, we talk about it all the time, about the last version of Madden, I think, that they made for the Wii that sold only like 30,000 copies. Despite the fact they have 100 million units sold. It's like, you know, people aren't going to want to support that.
It's just not what you want to play Madden on. It's what you want to play Mario on.
Right.
And so, you know, they're really good at their first-party stuff. They're really good at it. It's just like all the other stuff they're not.
Yeah,
not
the motion
amazing at.
controls are really counterintuitive for a lot of third-party games. So if they're trying to take a game that worked on consoles that have a traditional controller and shoehorn it into the motion control world, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, of course. So you mentioned in news the other day that Miyamoto is not going to be overseeing the next Mario game.
No, he wants to work on. He said like lower profile, like new stuff. He wants to do new projects. I mean, he did Pikmin, but that hasn't done well on Wii U, not the way it did on GameCube. Oh, it's so good on GameCube. But he wants to work on, I guess, other stuff, and he was saying that it's not impossible that he will be the principal creator on a new franchise before he's done with Nintendo, which I think is really cool.
Tired of Mario after 30 years. All right, I guess he deserves a break.
Well, I'm sure. When you're someone like that in that position, I'm sure you create a team. You know, how hands-on has he been with the last couple of titles? Yeah, I'm sure he's worked on it, but I'm sure there's the team there ready to take over the work and do the brunt of it.
Well, and he did say he'd still be keeping an eye on it, but that he's got there's a great team working on it, and he trusts them.
Yeah.
To do a good job.
I wonder if he's maintained like a scuttle power where he can come back and just shut it down if he's not happy with it.
I'm sure.
You think so?
Oh, positively. I'm sure he has enough clout.
He just walks in and says
Nintendo.
his name, and that means they turn off the lights, like Miyamoto.
It's like a built-in kill switch into all of the computers. Like he says like a special code word and everything just like formats and erases. Like start over.
Super Mario 2. It's the one no one liked.
I loved Super Mario 2
With Floaty Princess and Jumpy Luigi.
I think
But
that's
hey, guess what? We've got Floaty Princess and Jumpy Luigi. They've just been refined, but they come from that background.
I think that's what I like.
So they come from the background of a non-Mario game. That was a kung fu game that got stolen.
No, it was wasn't it like about a Middle Eastern prince? I think.
Sure, all right.
Anyway,
Prince of Persia?
Now it's about
No.
plumbers. Who cares? It's all about the same thing, really. But
I liked that game at the time because you finally had the choice you made in protagonist actually meant something in the game. Like Super Mario Brothers was just like, am I going to be the
green or
reddish
red?
I mean,
or green
player one,
sprite?
player two.
Exactly the same. This one you could. I loved Toad. I loved picking up the turnips really fast and throwing them.
I mean, I missed later iterations of the game somewhere. I think when it went to 64, that was the last time I played one. Was there ever again that idea of picking your character to have any kind of relevance in the game?
Mario Kart.
Well, yeah, okay.
Well, and in the new ones, the character you choose depends on how the level plays out. Again, Luigi can jump a lot. He jumps a lot higher, but is slightly less precise about it.
Okay.
And Peach floats.
That's what I hated.
So it's back.
I hated that about Luigi in Super Mario 2. He's so imprecise in the jumps. Anytime I tried to play a level as Luigi, I always fell in a fucking pit. Fuck that. I guess we're on a Nintendo kick here. Did you see the thing that guy made? He made like this little hardware device
To get the shiny
to
Pokemon.
get shiny Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
Pokemon guy. I
Pokemans.
can't even not do it.
Pokemaster.
I'm not a big fan of that, but man, that guy, props to him. That was impressive. I want to build one of those now
essentially-
just to do it.
Real
I
fast
just
as an
like when he
explanation.
noticed.
Yeah.
He realized that when a shiny Pokemon was going to come up, that the screen stayed black for 1.4 seconds longer because it had to load an extra animation. So he taped a little light
It's on
sensor to the
screen,
bottom
actually.
screen, and then attached it to a little circuit board that he built.
He built an Adreno-based system.
And then he just had it sit there and try to catch Pokemon over and over and over, and he would run away from the battle.
Yeah, he actually connected wires to the button controls on the DS board.
Right.
So it would send signals to cast, and then there's
Run
a couple
away,
other
yeah. So
buttons.
This guy
that it
is
had to
not
do.
messing around.
No, he's
and then
serious.
when it took 1.4 seconds extra to load, he knew a shiny was coming up. It would make an audible alarm. Then he would go over and then he would, catch it.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. He's catching Pokemon at 120% efficiency. He's over the max.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I've heard they're rare, but are they that rare? Like
Yeah,
I really
apparently.
don't know. I haven't seen one or anything yet, but I also haven't put in enough playtime that I would expect to. But that seems like that's a lot of
Well,
dedication.
let's put it this way. It's got to be rare enough to where this was the easier solution. It's like all of that work, easier than catching the shiny Pokemon.
All right, well,
Even his demo video, I think it ran for 45 minutes or so before he got one. So,
what really?
I mean,
It wasn't that long.
He said in the video that it normally didn't take that long.
Ah.
I may be off on 45 minutes, but it took a lot longer. And he has the whole thing in there in time lapse. You can just see it go. It
Oh, I
takes
thought
a
you meant the
while.
video was 45 minutes long. No,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, he time lapsed it, but to actually get that shiny Pokemon was a long one.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want a shiny Pokemon, you just go find this guy in the trade center or whatever, and he's just like handing them out like candy.
Yeah.
Here's your shiny
Got him
Pokemon.
for days.
He's like, that would be like the opposite of the guy who found the new legendary Pokemon. He like decompiled the game
Yeah.
and found ones that haven't been released yet.
Yep, and refused to share it with anybody,
Yeah, he is not
which is
sharing
good.
that.
I think it's much better for the game.
Well, he
balance.
said, I think what he said was he didn't want to destroy the spirit of trading and the game.
Yeah, he didn't
So-
want to ruin online.
Right. So,
Or he didn't want them to come after him and shut him down. I think it's probably the more likely
or he just
outcome.
wants to stay extra cool and be the one guy who's got it compared to everyone else who doesn't have it at all.
But that guy, I mean, he's got like a history of hacking 3DS. He's the one who got Portal working on
Really?
3DS. Yeah, it's the same guy.
Okay.
If you look at his channel on YouTube, I think it's just like Smee. Like
Smee?
Yeah,
Like-
like SMEA, like Smee
Second
from
in
Captain
command
Hook.
from Hook? Okay. Yeah. Smee.
And I think it's either that or
Smee, get the Pokemon,
or
Smee.
something really close to that. And it's got Portal.
Late breaking news.
Oh.
Late breaking
Or
news.
late breaking update.
Do,
The
do, do,
odds
do, do,
of finding
do,
a
do, do,
this
do,
is
do.
from Twitter
Yep.
at Liam Grew. The odds of finding a shiny Pokemon in the wild are 1 in 8,192 battles.
Oh my God. Okay, so that is definitely the easier
Yep.
solution.
Yeah.
Build a
Especially if you want
machine.
to catch multiple ones.
So-
And then from Ray, pretty damn rare. There's a technique to finding them that makes them easier, which is playing normally. Generally never happens. I found my first one ever like 2 days ago, and he's been playing since the original games.
Wow. All right. So
Who wants to build a light sensor with me?
let's do this.
Like,
I don't
the
give a
time it
crap
takes-
about the thing, but I want to build a device.
The time it takes to learn how the light sensor works and to build a device, starting from zero, probably still faster. I mean, if Ray hasn't found one since the original games, that's what, like
That's insane.
over a decade.
What do you do if your Pokeball fails at that point?
You cry.
Those can fail?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's one that's like the Master Ball or whatever, and that one's a guaranteed catch.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, they have a chance of escaping, and there's various grades of Pokeballs that are better.
Yes, that's very true. Well, look at you,
Yeah,
the
look at
Pokemaster.
I'm all the way to Route 7.
Are you?
Yeah.
You still play?
Yeah. I don't have a lot of time, but I play like a little bit here and there between street passes.
I mean, not enough time to get a shiny or a
yeah, no,
specky
nothing,
or a
nothing like
sparkly or whatever this thing
Shiny.
is.
no time for 8,000 whatever.
8,192. Yeah.
Good memory.
Well, I can't see it. I just remembered.
You did remember. Why'd you try to play that off? You do have a good memory. He's like, no, I can. Oh no, I did remember.
It's like, oh, yeah, I do have a good
I'm
memory.
hoping that fact isn't with me for long.
Isn't that a square? It is.
Is it a perfect square?
Yeah, 2048, 4096,
I'm not going to take the time to
8192.
think that out.
It's a square.
Look at you.
Gus, you
he
nerd.
wins.
That's really impressive too, by the way.
Squares are awesome. So GTA Online. So I have something to say. You know, GTA
Yeah.
Online released their patch this week. They say they're finally fixing the problems with online. Finally, they've said that before.
Sure.
So that now they'll be able to, at long last, release the stimulus that they've been promising forever.
Awesome.
Like 3 weeks after they meant to release it.
Anybody else find it suspicious that it's the same week that Call of Duty comes out?
Nah.
I feel like it's kind of like a come back to this, stay with us, don't forget. We're
Well-
gonna give you money to keep playing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, I guess GTA people are the same people as Call of Duty people. Not all of them. I'm not generalizing about all of you.
You're not the
Sorry.
CEO of Activision.
I'm just saying that like there are a lot of people who would have been playing GTA who would also be interested in playing Call of Duty. So I can see that, but Call of Duty's multiplayer also isn't getting great peer reviews.
Yeah. I played a little bit of it last night. I have not tried the extinction mode yet.
No, you have to unlock it.
I think it was unlocked for me right away. I don't know
Oh.
what it was. It's like you have to go. I had to go to multiplayer, then you like hit B to back out, and then it's like main menu extinction or
Okay.
cancel, and then you can choose extinction. from
I
there.
haven't played it yet either, but I know the guys actually did Let's Play in it yesterday, and they all were very happy with it, especially Ray. And if Ray's speaking well of it, then that's usually a good sign. I'm outing you, Ray. Sorry.
Yeah, so I've been playing a little bit of the single player and played like a match or two of multiplayer last night. And it's what you expect so far, I think.
Honestly, I've always enjoyed the Call of Duty single player experience. It's very cinematic. It's pretty much the same thing every time, but they have stories, they have characters that are interesting.
They have a dog.
There's a dog now.
Controlling the dog's kind of cool.
The dog is pretty cool.
So apparently, according to who is it? According to Hightower's World on Twitter, the guy who made the Japanese horse racing video, the stimulus is happening right now. I logged in right before we came online on the patch, and it was not live yet.
Well, people have been like starting to report that's coming in, but they're sort of doing it over the course of a day. So like not everyone is getting it at the same exact time.
I'm not sure really there's a whole lot of impact to that, honestly. So $500,000 is nice. If you're working through, it can take a while to get that. I mean, on a good night, assuming you are middle of the road player, you're probably only making $50,000 or so.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a bigger deal probably when they first announced it.
Yeah.
They announced it. It was like maybe a week and a half into like all the issues they were having. All the players were still really new. They hadn't found all of the sell your infinite motorcycles glitch or whatever. Like so now people have a lot of money. At the time they didn't, and so $500,000 was like a lot.
Yeah.
That was enough to buy your apartment, do all this stuff, but. Now
it's
there are
still
people, but now there are people
It's
with
a
like
lot.
20 million, and the economy is broken. So I'm not sure the
There's also-
500,000.
It's still a lot for me. Like as someone who's played a lot of online, I have a couple of cars, a shitty apartment, and I still only got like $50,000 in the bank.
I mean, there's just not a lot to do with it. They haven't instituted a lot of that in-game stuff, or I guess
Heist
the
and-
end game, heists, things like that. Things that might have a big dollar value investment. You got your apartment, which you can get a decent one for a couple $100,000. You can buy a bunch of cars if you want to, but still, most of the things that you would want, you have to unlock eventually. So you have to play the game, get your experience levels up, and as part of doing that, you're getting money anyway. So I don't know. I guess it's nice, but it's not really a critical thing. Of course, I'm saying that having acquired some money early on, so I'm not hurting for cash
You guys
right now.
you guys
you
went
see
at
the
it.
glitch, didn't
Nah, nothing happened. We just have money.
you? Right.
okay.
Magic money.
Yeah, magic money.
Magic money.
Yeah.
You found it on the side of a road.
I
Whoa.
swear, officer, it was just there when I got into my car.
They did say that they're planning on putting out their first like content pack. So they're doing
The beach bums.
the beach bum pack, but they also said like when they made that announcement that they would be sharing more about heists and that sort of stuff next week. Of course, this was like over
Next
a week ago,
which is last week,
so yeah, I guess they've been focusing more on getting this patch and getting the stimulus out, and now they'll hopefully do it. But Beach Bum's supposed to be this month, and then the hope is that heists get here quick, smart, because no one's waiting around.
I feel like they've been kind of mismanaging their message in that they're saying things and setting dates and then letting the dates slide and then not saying anything about the fact they're letting those dates slide. They either need to make announcements without dates or make announcements about dates, and then on those dates when they pass, be like, yeah, it's going to be a little while longer,
Whoops.
or
Yeah,
an
the
update.
Bad.
Yeah, the only time they've said anything is they'll be like, next week, and then they won't say anything until Friday of that next week and go, next week.
Yeah.
There's
You know,
some-
and it's just, it's not the best way to go about
The
it.
cloud side system seems to be having a lot of trouble lately. I mean, so GTA obviously had a huge issue. There were some reports of Battlefield 4 people losing their, character information, and then I think I've heard a couple rumblings that Ghosts has had a similar problem.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Batman also has that problem. A friend of mine was
Really?
playing Batman for several hours and got a corrupted save and it got fucked up.
Did all these people have like one cloud service provider that they were going through, and did that person just really didn't have their shit together, or what?
I
But
guess.
They're all using like the same guy.
yeah, it's
He's like-
Tom,
he's
Tom the
like-
cloud guy.
I'm the cloud guy.
It's pretty cheap. It's
he's
in
got
Russia.
He's got a computer over there.
You want save game? Okay, I save.
Backup, sure. It's
I
fucking-
write it down for you. I keep it on back on Notepad.
It's
yeah.
cousin Roman. He's branched out.
Want to go bowling?
Here, let me read this thing. I want to remind everyone that this episode of The Patch is brought to you by the mighty quest for epic loot. Build your own castle, plunder your friends, become the richest man in opulencia or woman, and never forget to brag about it. Buy a 00 Founders Pack now for early access to the beta plus tons of exclusives. Anyone can get instant access to the beta, tons of in-game currency, as well as exclusive items and access to the mage character. All you have to do is purchase the 00 Founders Pack at themightyquest.com. Visit themightyquest.com for more details. In fact, I've got it right here if you want to show it. hopefully I can do this from looking at the screen from a distance. But it's actually a really fun game. I started playing it earlier today.
We did. This is on it.
Yeah.
And it is a really fun like drop in, drop out kind of game. You can get in, you play a little bit, and then come back to it later.
So you build like your castle here, which is like the tower defense aspect, and it's like where you upgrade your character and shit. And then you can take your character out, and you find like these other floating castles, and you go and you attack them. So
and those are actually other players' castles.
Right.
So it's kind of multiplayer.
So yeah, you have to make sure you have your castle defended so that people don't come. See, this is Boxy. I'm the patch, obviously.
So you can just go into
Welcome,
anyone
Boxy.
else's castle and try to invade.
Yeah.
Essentially.
There's you'll fight whatever defenses they have set up.
If you successfully raid their castle, they lose like 20% of the gold that they have.
And then it locks them down so that they are protected for a while.
What, you only took 20% of their gold?
You don't be greedy.
You're polite, you know. You someone else's house.
fucking hate these
you gotta
people.
be a good guest.
As far as like plundering someone else's castle, though, being like,
some skills, man.
it's fine,
There
I'll
you
leave you
go.
80% of it.
Hey, you look like a good guy. I don't want to leave you in a bad way. I'm only going to take a little.
You want backups?
But then you can see it's just like a hack and slash. It kind of reminds me of Torchlight, but it's written like really tongue-in-cheek. It's pretty funny.
That's a sweet sword you got there. Actually, yeah, the thing, I will say the music in this game is actually pretty good. Very epic.
Yeah.
And the little things the guy shouts out is also really funny. He'll say
like-
something like, "I'm going to take all your stuff. Ha ha,
And I
you
think-
suck."
Everyone has like or the different characters. Shit, I'm out of health potions. Have like there's 3 different classes. I think there's like a warrior, which I'm playing right now, a mage, which you can only get through the founders pack at the moment, and a hunter, which is like a ranged guy. I'm gonna die because I forgot.
Yeah, you are.
I forgot to make potions before I came.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, total rookie mistake.
You're playing like a level 5 there, Gus.
So you can check it out if you go to themightyquest.com right now. There's different levels. You can get into the beta right away.
You just giving up? It's like,
yeah,
it's over. All right.
Um,
Off camera, Gus is dying
yeah,
right
I'm-
now. There it is. Yeah. No, he died.
so okay.
Goodbye, Gus.
Anyway, check it out. Glad to have him as a sponsor. Always thrilled to have a game we can show off. Anyway, and that's really embarrassing that I died. I'm gonna put the keyboard.
You should be
We
embarrassed.
should point out that you're playing on a trackpad.
Yeah, the
Boxy,
trackpad does make it a little difficult.
From,
Boxy,
like,
the owner of
from
the
a
castle,
distance.
will now be able to watch you fail on the patch and in the replay that he can watch on his install.
So sad. It's a fun game. I'm totally see myself playing that some more. Did you hear? I don't know why I start things with "did you hear?" Did you see that Notch is going to be on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson on
It's
Thursday?
crazy.
It's like worlds are colliding.
Yeah.
The gaming world and the popular TV culture world, they're all coming together.
Do you think it's like TV realizing the power of Minecraft as a popular game and trying to use that to capture that audience to get people to watch TV?
This guy's made over $1 billion? Nah, we'll talk to him later.
Well, I don't see the.
It's
Why
not like
has
he's
it taken this
launching
long?
something. Maybe he's making an announcement.
Could be.
You know, I mean, they sometimes go on to make announcements. Otherwise, they usually go on to promote something new coming up. Right? Like one of the other guests on that same show, I guess, Kat Denning,
Oh, okay.
who's I mean,
Crossover with Minecraft? I'd like to see it, sure.
to promote Thor. So they promote stuff that's coming out, or maybe make an announcement. So maybe that's what's
I
going
wonder
on
if
there.
he's going to announce the end of Minecraft. It's done. Like, final patch released.
Be like, well, we had fun.
We had a good run.
We're just gonna shut everything
Somebody
down.
made $1 billion. I'm not going to say who.
Mistakes were made. Some stuff went right. I'm not going to go into any details. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's like you figure if he was making an announcement, why wouldn't he just do that on his own? Like I don't picture Notch as being like, let's book some time on Craig Ferguson. I'm ready to do
Yeah,
this.
He doesn't use
you're
the
right.
platform.
He doesn't seem the type for it. I'm trying to figure out like why else he would go on.
Maybe he was already here, still in the States because of Minecon, which was last weekend, and this opportunity came up. Someone reached out to him, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
I mean, do you think this is honestly the first time anyone has reached out to him to be on one of these shows? It does seem like it's kind of late in the game for that kind of reaction.
I don't know. I can't picture someone like Notch like on the Tonight Show.
No, I mean, it's an odd crossover, but I mean, it could be that just no one's thought to have. You haven't seen any other video game developers on any of these late night shows either.
I
Someone
think
has-
every now you get people
I
on
think Cliff
Jimmy Fallon.
Lesinski's gone on one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon regularly has Reggie Fils-Aimé. How do you say his name? Fils-Aimé.
Fiumi.
Yeah.
I always just called him like Phil Zame, and then everyone was like, so then I think it's Fils-Aimé.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Fallon also had people from Naughty Dog for
Okay.
Uncharted 3. So
Seems like Jimmy Fallon is the one that's going to run that kind of stuff, if anybody.
right. So I
Is
could.
that late? Is that who's?
That's it's after the Tonight Show, the Late Show. No.
So
Sure.
so not just going
The
on the
Jimmy
Late
Fallon
Late
Show.
Show. Who is
Craig
the
Ferguson.
Okay, so that's Craig Ferguson. Which one is Jimmy Fallon's? They're all named like the same thing. I can never.
He's on
keep
the one
keep track
after
of
the
them.
Tonight Show, the one that used to be Letterman.
The
Late
later show, the occasionally show, the evening show,
Late night.
night.
late night show.
That's right.
We had all the right words.
So there's like
The Tonight Show, Late Night, and then the Late Show or the
and
Late
then
Late
there's
Show.
the late show.
It's like you have like 3 words.
I think
you
they're
can
banking.
combine to
You'll
make the
either
title.
be too tired or too drunk to really care what the title of the show is. You just flip it to whichever channel you like. But yeah, I mean, I can honestly see that maybe that's just not. No one's approached him. It's possible that this is the first time someone said, "Hey, do you want to be on TV?"
Okay.
It is. I can see it being one of those things where there's all these parents going, "My kid plays this Minecraft all the time. What's Minecraft?" And someone goes, "Let's ask the guy. What is Minecraft?"
I'm curious to see that. I'll definitely watch that. I think it said Thursday night, so tomorrow night. We'll see what it's all about. I'm an old man. I never stay up long enough to watch that show. So
Well, you're gonna have to stay up late.
I'll DVR it and watch it early before work. There was other news this week regarding the Steam Box. So Valve released the prototype of what they pictured the Steam Box will look like. Which
Looks like a box.
yeah, I was kind of surprised.
Square.
Yep.
Well-
Console-ish.
There it is.
There's a picture.
It looks like an
Look, it's got a power button on the side. It's a sexy black case.
It looks like an HTPC to me.
It does.
It does. It
Yeah, or
absolutely.
DVR.
Well, it's because
or-
it's like it is. It's, when you get down to it, it is a living room PC.
Yeah.
That's like what. That's what that is supposed to be.
And they're not going to make any of those first party. They're going to make controllers first party.
Well,
But-
that one is going to be first party. That's
Their
their
demo,
prototype,
the
their
betas, yeah.
testing thing. But yeah, that's not what their hardware partners are making.
Right.
And
They still haven't tacked down a spec, right? I mean, and that's what part of this demo process
they
is.
had
is-
yeah,
Well,
it's
no,
like a
they've-
range of specs. It's
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
3
they've
tiers.
said
Yeah.
basically, look, we're making an operating system. These hardware partners, they're going to make their own machines that will run this operating system, but they're going to vary for depending on like if they want to go for performance, if they want to go for like a really tiny size, if they want to go for something that's super cheap. They can do whatever they want. They can put their own specs in them there,
Yeah.
so there'll be a huge range
I mean,
of Steam.
Can you catch a shiny
machines.
Pokemon with a Steam Box? Is the real question everyone wants to know.
Well, with a little bit of wire and know-how, sure. What I really wonder is if that's going to end up taking this the way of the Android tablet market. Because I mean, there's everything from a really crappy knockoff up to things like the Kindle Fire, and that'll means that it may just get really confusing for the consumer unless there's something that really tags it down.
It's true, but like in the end, it is a gaming PC.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it different more than
It's an
anything
Alienware
is
or yeah.
is just the controller. That's like the sort of standardizing factor. Beyond that, it's a PC, and everyone's got completely different PCs. You know, they're like trying to nail down a spec for like what is a gaming PC. Like you can't do that, and so they're
No.
really going with that philosophy for this too.
What I'm hoping is that they at least have tiers that they can glump these machines into. Like this is a tier 1 Steam Box, a tier 2, and a tier 3. Like this game, which is really graphics intensive,
You need
requires
this.
a tier 3. This one, which is, not quite as complex, you can play on a tier 1.
I think they were saying something about they want to build like into like the Steam OS. Be like you can like the machine that you're using this on right now can play this game really well or this game really
Recommended
well.
settings or
Yeah, just so it'll since it knows what your specs are, it can recommend games based on what it can handle.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other way around, saying get a better machine. It's saying these are the games that.
I
will
still
run
don't get
well.
it. I mean, that's a computer.
I want one.
It is. I will
I'm
say
all for
that
it.
it's the risk there being that they're trying to move into that sort of couch gaming market, and the couch gaming market goes, this is an Xbox,
Yeah.
this is a PlayStation, and this is a Nintendo. Because no
And
one calls it.
It's
just
still
Nintendo.
going to shoot them in the foot. I think that they're not going to be able to keep it price matched with any of the other consoles because they're not going to support it through unless they're going to start supporting it through game sales. PS4 and Xbox have got them cornered on that.
Maybe if you can make a Steam Box that converts into a hat, they'll subsidize it.
My, that's a fetching chapeau and game system you have there. I tip my console to you.
Well, I mean, who knows? Their Valve is used to trying new things when it comes to sales. I mean, Steam was a big experiment. Team Fortress 2 going free to play, subsidized by hat sales. I'm sure they have a crazy idea that'll subsidize it and
I guess-
make it more in line with the console. And you think about
We'll
it,
see.
like PS3 when PS3 launched, it was like $600 or $700.
Yeah.
You could build an HTPC like that for
Yeah.
in that price range.
But again, Valve's not really bearing most of the financial risk for the machines themselves.
Also
They're doing
true.
the controller, and the controller everyone will buy because everyone is going to want that. I mean, I guess you can still use a keyboard mouse, but if you're going to be on the couch, you're going to get this controller. And so they're the ones making the controller, and the hardware partners are going to be the ones bearing the financial risk for whether the machines are a success or not.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's-
they want to proliferate the use of
Yeah.
Steam OS.
That too, yeah.
So
Well, and it's going to make all the hardware guys that's going to push the hardware manufacturers to really try and cut corners and slim the price down so they can keep it in competition. So that's I don't know. I don't get it. Like it's a nice idea, but having it just a totally open system like this for anybody to make one, I think we're going to see a lot of consoles all over the place with no very locked down hardware, and you never know what you're going to get when you buy one. I'm hoping they lock it down to some degree, but I don't see why you wouldn't just buy the controller and play it on your home PC.
well, and they leave that option open, right?
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of games. So the Steam OS is going to be Linux-based, and it can run any of the Steam games. There's like 300 some odd Steam games that can run on Linux. For other games, it actually requires your PC to run the game and stream it to the Steam
Really?
box. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So again, anyway, well, I mean, and not only that, but Valve has already said that they're not going to develop titles explicitly for SteamOS. I think
Not exclusively for.
not exclusively. So you won't need to have SteamOS for any particular reason. All right, it's one of those things that I feel like sometime down the road, maybe this will make sense to me. Like something will happen where it'll all kind of come together. It's like the end of an M. Night Shyamalan movie, the good ones,
Like
not
the
the
twist?
shitty ones. Yeah, like it'll all kind of fit together and form Voltron or something. And
Steam was dead the whole time.
but so far, it doesn't sell me on anything.
I'm
Unless they want to send me one, and then maybe it'll sell me on one.
I really could have used one of those controllers when playing the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot right now. I might not have died in Boxy's castle.
It's true. Although, when that controller is actually using dual trackpads instead of thumbsticks, but they're supposed to be much better than trackpads like the one you were using, like that are attached to the keyboard. They're supposed to be like amazing. But they
I'd
are
love to try
trackpads,
one.
so we'll see.
Yeah, who
I
knows?
really want to try the controller. It seems so weird, but I'm like, okay, I'll try. I'll give this a try. I saw them playing Civ on it, and I'm like, look, if you can get Civ working with the controller,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd
That's-
see it. That's true. Yeah, an RTS on any kind of controller.
There's been old RTS ports for console. StarCraft
All
was
right,
on PS1.
not good ones.
okay, good
though.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey.
Like
There's
the-
no successful implement. Even I think the best I ever saw was Halo, and that
The
did,
Halo Wars?
Yeah, Halo Wars did okay.
Supreme Commander had a pretty decent
Did
interface
it?
on the Xbox 360 as well.
It was and it was very like simplified down, but Civilization Revolution I really enjoyed.
Oh, Civ Rev is awesome.
it was
Yeah.
great.
That's a great game. You can even play that on iOS. I still have it on my iPhone. I play it every now and then.
Yeah, I love it. I get like into these weird phases where I'll just play nothing but Civilization Revolution for like 40 hours, and I'm like, oh, my hands hurt.
There was
you
an
get that
update.
like gamer claw, and I just like can't stop. And I'm like, why? It's just Civ, except it's console Civ.
You remember that guy a few months
good.
ago who had been playing Civ 2, like a Civ 2 game for like 15 years? And the game had advanced, like in game time, like 10,000 years had passed. And like he was in this perpetual state of war where like the entire planet was destroyed. And it was like 2 or 3 giant armies fighting each other to a stalemate.
That's a really dark future.
Yeah, well, he there was an update like last month, I think, from the guy talking about how the war's still going. And he's like outlining his strategy to try to retake cities. And
I love that he sounds like a stranded like war journalist. Just
Writing
being like,
back from the future.
Yeah, just being like, 10,000 years, the war continues. I'm doing my best to survive.
he's been the one in charge of it the whole time. Maybe really he needs to start thinking about replacing the commander.
well, maybe you can argue he's the one who's fought it to a stalemate.
Yeah,
Maybe it was
that's
an
true.
unwinnable
Okay.
war to begin
Maybe
with.
it is a very dauntable enemy.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can see like all the skulls from I guess all the nuclear blasts, and everything's just totally developed on and over.
That looks insane.
No infrastructure remaining.
Yeah, that's I loved Civ and Civ
Well, I
2.
wonder what the life of a peasant would be like in that particular game.
It's like you're mining uranium for nuclear missiles your whole life until you get hit by a nuclear missile, and that's it.
and then another peasant comes to mine the spot where you got hit.
Yep.
There was another game recently. It was someone had been playing the same game of SimCity for like 5 years, just like this like one city, I guess, just constantly. and just showing like how developed it had become. It's crazy that games like don't have that ceiling. They're like, yeah, you
No
can
kind
keep
of
doing this.
termination.
Yeah, and they go, yeah, you can have 3 armies, fighting in a nuclear wasteland. Like, how did they even? How did the developers see that? How did they build that possibility in?
So by that
It's
point, was it
amazing.
just like wall-to-wall buildings? I mean, the entire map was just one big
I think
metroplex.
if I recall,
Is it like
he was
Dread?
playing the version like he was playing SimCity 2000 with the Arcopolis,
The arcology?
Arcologies, the Arcos, and so he had built tons of Arcos to try to maximize the amount of people he could put in there, right? I think that's what it was.
Like, it was really impressive to see. I was just like, yeah, I've gotten as far as like just building avenues instead of streets. Like, but I appreciate the amount of dedication that it takes to play
good
a
for you,
game
man.
for 5 years or into 10,000 years in the future. Like, that's
So,
incredible.
This guy has like the exact opposite of ADHD, right? Like he's got hyper focus. Because I couldn't pay attention to that for that long. There's no way.
Way too much focus, dude. The new SimCity is out. There's Cities of the Future expansion that's coming
He's
next
like,
week.
no. I got this. Like current technology of 1982 is still working just fine for me.
I still have not played the new version of SimCity that came out recently.
It's
Oh,
good.
the EA, the one that was all locked down and you had to be online to play.
Still
it.
still locked down, dude.
They
Still.
But now it's just that they don't have the same kind of server load, so you can't get online.
yeah.
GTA
But yeah,
style.
I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually. I love those types of games.
Yeah, I only started playing it a couple weeks ago, and I sat down and I was like, all right, I don't understand how to do any of this, and so I learned it very slowly, and then like 12 hours later, I was like, where is everyone? And everyone had like gone to bed and left me, and I was just like, oh, it's like 5 a.m. I should consider going to bed. It's just like one of those games that you get completely lost in. It's it's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
And they did say they're looking into adding offline support at some point in the future.
How nice of them to add functionality that's already been proven to exist like a year after the game releases.
Someone took a screenshot of, God, I'll have to look this up. I saw it on Reddit. They said that we've gotten to the point now where offline play is a feature in a game. They had taken a picture of the back of a Call of Duty Ghosts game, where they list all the features like multiplayer, content download, offline play was one of the things listed there.
It's funny, I was reading a story just recently too that so Steam does have an offline mode, but it's always been kind of wonky. Like sometimes it would force you to go back online, and sometimes apparently that's a bug. Like you're supposed to have perpetual offline if you would like to, and they've never been able to fix it. So they're still trying to fix the fact that you have to sign back in.
I think I read that story. They said they're promised that they're working on fixing offline mode, that they acknowledge that it's not good. So it's weird. Again, it's like...
It's kind of like the Xbox reboot issue. It's like one of those things, it's like, this is your platform. Fix
Like, how do you
it.
not know this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't there someone in charge of this? Isn't someone responsibility to make things work? No?
Well, it does seem like
Okay.
a weird bug being like, we don't know how to make it so that you can stay offline. But then again, like a lot of the functions, like a lot of the cool functions, need online anyway. Like the sharing, that they're doing the beta for. I mean, don't you have to be online for someone to be able to borrow your game?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like you can go ahead, play your games offline, but like all the cool stuff you have to be online for.
Which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having the need to go online for certain features. Honestly, the Steam offline thing isn't that big of a deal most of the time. I mean, if you're going to get on a plane, obviously you want to still be able to play your games on your laptop.
Now you can.
And now, well, no, it's not fixed yet. They're still working
on it.
Well,
it works some of the time.
I'm always nervous
Well,
when
no,
I
I
do
just mean,
go offline.
but now you can get your plane Wi-Fi. You can play while you're taking off.
Nah, no one wants to pay for the Wi-Fi. Though.
I dropped this beer off the table right before we started the patch.
All right, so Bet said it's going to explode.
And I'm going to open it and see if it explodes here.
Hey!
Success.
All right, pass that bottle opener this way.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess that does relate to gaming is the fact that the FAA reduced their restrictions on portable electronic usage on planes. So now, even once the cabin door closes and you're under 10,000 feet, you can use electronic devices.
Take off to landing.
And there's a bunch of so planes actually have to, or airlines, I guess, have to prove that their fleet can handle, the minuscule amounts of interference from electronics existing. Which, let's be honest, No one turns their stuff off anymore. But
Really? Am I the only one that still turns things off?
yeah,
I turn
you
things
pretty
off.
much are.
All right,
I
thank
follow
you,
the
Gus.
rules.
Well, you've been hanging out with Bernie. I know Bernie
Yeah,
doesn't turn his stuff
Yeah.
off.
I know
No,
there's a jerk somewhere over there who doesn't.
But they've already had a whole bunch of flights, like all the airlines. They were the ones who wanted this as well because customers
Yeah.
hate it. So they were
Well,
the ones
then
pushing
it
for
results
it.
in a fight. Every time a flight attendant has to tell someone to turn something off.
God.
So it makes it easier on their employees.
So once this is I was living in Australia. I was flying with one of my coworkers. She was like not a good flyer, and
Like scared, not a good flyer, or like
she's like the
belligerent,
nervous
not
kind
a
of.
good flyer?
She's like the nervous kind of flyer, and so I had my Kindle, and she was like, "You're gonna turn that off?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll turn it off." And so like I closed it, and she's like, "No, you have to turn it off." And I was like, "Well, that's like what that is." And she's like, "But there's stuff on the screen." And I was like, "Well, Kindle screens don't actually go to my," and I was trying to explain to her how Kindles work and like
Right.
what off means for that. And she didn't understand, and she was getting in a panic. And there was a little old lady sitting on the other side of us who saw my friend fighting with me about turning stuff off and panicked and called the flight attendant. And I had to try to explain to the flight attendant, like, this is like 2 years ago. Kindles have been around.
Yeah.
She's reading.
Trying to
Terrorist. Terrorist.
Like trying to
She has
explain
knowledge
to
and
these
words.
people how electronics work. It's just like, like just for that kind of thing alone, I'm so glad this is not a deal anymore.
Yeah. So I think the only two airlines so far in the U.S. that have been cleared for this are JetBlue and Delta. And I'm really jealous because my sister-in-law just got married this past weekend
Yeah.
and flew Delta to Hawaii for a honeymoon.
Ooh.
So
Well, I mean,
her
it
and her
only
husband
affects-
just bragged about the whole.
It only affects for like
time.
5 minutes at the beginning and the end.
Well,
though,
but here's the
right?
thing: is now is you're starting to get like Instagram pictures of people like during like takeoff, of like the cityscape like really
Yeah.
up close to being like couldn't do this before.
Yeah, I saw Freddie W. tweeted that picture like a few days ago. Like
Yeah.
this picture was illegal a week ago or something like that.
That's probably the one I'm thinking of. But
Hasn't
you're
that-
seeing a lot of them now.
Hasn't that been legal in Mexico for like years? Like you've been
Mexico
able-
doesn't care.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you, Mexico.
It is good
Be
to
ahead
have
of the
though.
curve.
I do. It's that like 5 minutes. Look, I know we're flying into the sky in a giant metal tube, and it's really magical. But staring at the back of the seat for 5 minutes when I really just want to be playing my DS is.
You mean
it's
you
too
don't read
much.
the emergency escape plan and figure out where all the fire exits are and read the safety instructions?
Yeah, like for me, it's like I just want to play a game on my phone or listen to an audiobook or just do something instead. Like those are the going up to 10,000 feet, and then below 10,000 feet is where I have to look at Sky Mall and whatever the fuck the magazine is in front of me.
And Sky Mall's getting worse.
Sky Mall's terrible. Sky Mall never changes.
Yeah, they used to have like a really like when Lord of the Rings was first coming out, and they had like that amazing selection of Lord of the Rings stuff and Harry Potter stuff, and now it's just slowly getting condensed down to like
Now
one
there's
page of
Batman,
stuff, and then
and
like
then,
hats for dogs.
Well,
Hey.
dogs
come
need
on.
hats.
Dogs do need hats.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're getting shit about this from the person who has a hat for a cat.
The sombrero.
Yeah,
A sombrero for a cat. Let me read this thing
It's a
here.
very classy sombrero.
Thanks to Squarespace for supporting the patch. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, or online store. Squarespace has been around for 9 years. They're constantly improving their platform with new features, new designs, and even better support. Squarespace is commerce ready to provide a powerful and flexible e-commerce solution so you can set up shop and sell things quickly. Whether you need a simple website solution or you are a developer and want to get into the code, there's so much you can customize with Squarespace. Squarespace starts at just $8 a month. You don't need a credit card. Just start building your website. When you decide to sign up, use the offer code BernieIsBest and get 10% off. Oh, wait, sorry. This one's actually Patch 11. We got Patch 11 for 10% off to show your support for Rooster Teeth. That's squarespace.com, offer code Patch 11. We thank Squarespace for the support, and I had the wrong copy on here.
Now I want to know what the promo code Bernie is best
Yeah.
does.
That's
What does that
that's the
get
RT podcast one.
Oh.
The patch is Patch 11. So go to squarespace.com, use offer code Patch 11.
Not Bernie's best.
No.
Nah.
No.
Only if you listen to the other podcasts. Great.
No,
We talk about it. Great.
Hush, we want those for us.
Great way to start a website. Super easy interface. Makes great websites that scale dynamically for computer, tablet, mobile. Awesome service.
Building websites is how I got into the games industry.
Really?
Actually, yeah. Like the first thing I ever did is I built a fan site for American McGee's Alice. And built these forums and all this stuff. It was actually it was how I taught myself Perl, one of my first programming projects. Did it, and it was amazing. And I started actually talking with the the brand manager for Alice at EA, and then ended up working with him at Ubisoft, and actually got to meet American McGee, and I was just like, it was it was really amazing. But
Nice.
I'm so happy that I started doing that. I have no idea where I would be if I never started making websites.
So last week when you were on the patch, I wanted to talk about this, but I just totally forgot, or we didn't get around to it, is I wanted to mention the fact that I've known Ashley a long time. Like, you know, you may be a newer face to some of the people watching videos, but I've known Ashley, I think, over 9 years now.
Yeah, we would have met
We
in
met at the
first
PAX.
2004.
You guys gonna get like a chip or something on your 10-year anniversary?
I've known her
or-
longer than you.
Yeah, you have.
So it's good to have you in front of camera chatting.
Aw, thanks.
I think some people were like, wow, it seems like everyone, you know, on the everyone talks like friends talking about games, like they know each other. It's like, yeah, well,
Long
we've
time
all
now.
known each other a
Long
long
time.
time. I've known Ryan a couple of years. He's all right.
Yeah.
Ryan and I used to
I did
sit next
that.
to each other
I did.
at the office.
Used to go to lunch all the time.
Yeah.
I still occasionally run across a picture of you holding up one of my Space Invaders sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Did you
ages
steal
ago.
her shoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a
It was a
fetish
big-
for
it was-
Space Invader shoes.
It was a big night.
It's very very niche. Yeah, was that the first PAX? It's crazy. Other news. Unity Engine is available through the Independent Developer Program for Xbox One developers.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, there's I went and I was looking at the list of games that have been made with the Unity engine.
I'm
There's a
pulling it
lot
up
of
right here.
That's fantastic. There's a lot of like really like surprising stuff like that I wouldn't have expected.
Well, what I'm shocked by looking at the list of games that have been developed with Unity is the diversity
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
there's
games that
all
have been
kinds of
developed.
stuff.
Like Kerbal Space Program's on here, along with like Shroud of the Avatar, which
Yeah.
is the new Ultima themed game that Richard Garriott is working on. And there's just tons of games in here, like all that have totally different looks and styles.
Is there
And
a Call of
a
Duty
lot
on
of
there, too?
Kickstarter stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think like a Call of Duty mobile game maybe.
Yeah, Call of Duty Strike Team.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of mobile tie-ins for bigger franchises. I think there might have been a Deus Ex.
There
All right.
was Age of Booty Tactics, which is not out yet, but it's the
Age of
mobile
Booty
Age of-
Tacket?
Age of-
Tactics, the mobile version of Age of Booty.
Age of Booty.
Tac-
Did you ever play Age of Booty?
I can't even say the whole
XBLA,
sentence.
bro.
Age of
Yeah.
Booty Tactics. That sounds like a makeout manual or something.
It's a great game. I can't wait for
That
mobile
would be
game.
a fantastic name for
Sounds
a
like
makeup
something
manual.
in Japan. Yeah.
Scrolls.
Scrolls. All right. Which
got-
is actually a pretty interesting game, but it didn't get all well.
Well,
I
now,
feel like
has
it didn't
has
get a lot
come
of
out?
notoriety. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was out a while ago.
I think it came
Yeah,
out
it
like
didn't make a big splash.
That's
8 months ago. It was earlier this
Yeah,
year, like
yeah.
March maybe.
a lot of people were amused by the fact that. So if we remember, I guess it was ZeniMax, the company that owns Bethesda, sued Mojang when they decided to call the game Scrolls
yeah.
because they were saying that it's too much like The Elder Scrolls, which is Bethesda's game.
Yeah, we can't have two people using the same words.
The same word. Well,
Unacceptable.
but what's particularly amusing about that is now there's a Skyrim version of Minecraft coming.
Yeah.
So it's like their first big interaction with each other was probably a lawsuit.
Well,
It was. Do you,
And
do
then-
you know how Notch wanted to settle that? Do you remember what he said? He said he challenged anyone from ZeniMax to a game of Doom, and he said whoever won the game would get the rights to it. And ZeniMax just like sent the lawyers at him. So he's like, okay, sorry.
That's just a funny story to me. Like, how did like, oh, that's cute. How did you meet? Well, he sued me.
Well, is it really? I mean, it's a mod for, or basically a texture pack for the Xbox version of Minecraft. So I've always wondered how much interaction there is even there. I think that might even be a deal directly with Microsoft, right?
Well, it's no, it's 4J. Like 4J is making it.
Okay.
So there's definitely involvement with them, and they would have to deal with licensing and all that stuff. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I don't even know that Microsoft would be that much involved. It's more, Mojang and Bethesda, and then of course ZeniMax.
All right. I mean, most of these things end up being exclusive to the Xbox anyway.
Well, but there's already like they're on PC. People are able
have
to
been
do
doing
their
it
own
for a
stuff,
long
so they've
time.
already got a ton of
Yeah.
Skyrim
Well,
themes.
I'm curious to see if all of these themes carry through to the PS4 versions of Minecraft when it comes
Ooh.
out. Minecraft is a launch title on PS4, correct?
I believe that is correct.
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
Like,
it was
at this
not going to
point-
be a launch title on Xbox One.
Correct.
Which was kind of the weird thing.
I can't wait to see what it looks like on the PS4.
At
I bet
this
they'll have
point,
boxes.
the graphics are so high def.
You'll have ambient
Well,
occlusion
if
on
anything,
the little.
I mean, we joke about it, but I think the big deal is I bet the map's going to be much bigger.
The maps, I'm
That-
sure, will be bigger. I wonder they may, turn on some additional graphical features that they haven't had before. That might clean up the image a little bit. But, I mean, it may not be as modifiable, I wonder, as the Xbox version, at least initially.
Why not?
Well, it's a first offering on the PS4.
Well, what they might end up doing is like what they did with the Xbox 360 when it launched, where they chose an earlier build.
Right.
They brought it up to parity with that, and then over time kept patching and things to try to bring it up to parity with the PC version as much as possible.
I guess the interesting question would be how much of a disparity there is between developing for the PS4, the Xbox One, and PC. And if either of those platforms is closer to the PC, they may take a much more recent build.
There was a story.
There must be.
There was a story this week that the developers behind Assassin's Creed talked about how this development for AC4 was super easy on Xbox One and PS4, but was a pain in the ass on the 360 and
Step it back.
PS3.
Which I do get that though, because they're now scoping for like all these, new technical limits, and then they're like, but you have to make a crappy version.
Right.
And I mean, I don't mean to say that the current gen versions will be crappy, because this hardware is still very good.
It's just
but
more
it's like
handicapped.
they've been it is handicapped in comparison. They've gone sky's the limit with their ambitions, and then they have to bring them back to you have to make the game work. That's important. But there's a lot of technical differences between working like the Xbox One and PS4 as well. That's Infinity Ward, Mark Rubin guy. He said that was the reason that Call of Duty only runs 720p on Xbox One, is he was like, well, we have to optimize. We weren't working, like, we did this technology, we didn't know what the hardware was going to be, so we have to optimize differently, and we got it for the PS4, but then not for the Xbox One this time.
Yeah, they couldn't hit their frame rate
So-
that they really wanted.
Yeah, they want it to be 60. They were like, that's the important thing. Like, this 1080 is just like a bonus. But so there's got to be a reasonably significant difference if they weren't even able to get the optimizations in to get Xbox One to 1080p.
Or it's like maybe it's what people talked about in the current generation, where it's like there's more of a learning curve to get things fully optimized in the Xbox One. People talked about more of a learning curve on the PS3. Maybe the pendulum's just shifted a bit the other way this time around.
That's absolutely true. And remember that, like, Xbox One's hardware was shifting like even over the last couple of months. So that's probably not doing developers any favors. Well, in the short run, it will in the long.
People will forget about that.
Yeah.
It didn't shift that much. I mean, there was a minor bump to the CPU speed, and that was pretty much it, right? I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of change.
Not a lot, no.
And ultimately, everyone will be happy about a bump to CPU
Yeah.
clock.
Long run,
no
everyone
one's
will
going to complain
benefit.
about that. That'll give it a little
You
longer
bastard!
shelf life.
I was planning on having a lower clocked system. It was going to fit perfectly in my cabinet
Yeah,
at lower gigahertz.
I hope no one times their frames to clock speed like games used to do back in the old 46 days, where you try to play it now and it's just like a blur.
Oh no.
So a bunch of other news. I'm a little confused about this one. I'm hoping you guys maybe know a little bit more about it for clarity. So Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero comes out in spring before Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain.
I think it's like a bridging mini thing. I actually don't know a lot about it. Metal Gear is one of those series that passed me by, and I've never gotten into it because the story is so elaborate and threads through. It's so long. It threads through so many titles that at this point, trying to get into it, I feel is I would have to read several books to get on the story.
pretty
So I just
daunting.
sort of go, But I think it's kind of like a bridging mini game.
It makes me
an
think
episode.
of Dead Rising 2
Case Zero?
Case Zero, where they released a downloadable game where you play a little bit of the game and it was like a prologue to the main meat of the game.
Well, and that actually had it had consequences in the game, right?
You could
the
start
choices
at a
you made.
higher level and have equipment carry over.
Carry over like a maximum level of 5 or 10, I think.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm surprised they never went further with that sort of XBLA retail game tie-in. Like they did it with Fable, they did it with K0, but they don't do it as much as I sort of expected them to.
I feel like it backfired.
Really?
Yeah. Bernie talks about how he didn't play Dead Rising 2 as much. He didn't get into it as much because he played Case Zero. And with me, I played Case Zero, and I was just kind of lukewarm the whole way through Dead Rising 2. It never really grabbed me.
All right.
So I feel like if you give people that taste for a low price point, they're like, I really don't need to buy the whole game.
And they might discover that they really don't want it.
Right. And
as
in this
opposed to trying to get them all with the big
And
price up front.
in this
Yeah, it's a
case,
danger.
Ground Zero, I'm looking at it right now, is $20 downloadable, $30 packaged on current gen, I guess at retail, and then $30 downloadable on next gen. So you could conceivably pay on next gen $30 for a prologue to a game, and then $60 for the actual game. So you're spending $90 to get the full experience.
There better be a lot in there for that kind of price.
Yeah,
for 30
that's gotta
bucks.
have a lot.
I mean, Case Zero was what, like
Case Zero was
5, 10
15,
bucks?
I think.
15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
once
a quarter
you
of the game.
once you
price?
pass like the $20 mark on a downloadable game, it's gotta be it
Yeah.
better be
You
significant.
better have
I don't
couple
care,
hours at
I
least.
don't care if it's next gen.
Yeah.
You know, the next gen retail game prices aren't really moving, so I don't expect downloadable ones to either.
This makes me every year, this time of year, we see people dig up the old Toys R Us ads from the 90s and like scan them and put them on Reddit. And the shocking thing to me always is to look at games prices. And you look at like, back when the N64 was out, making that transition N64 to PS1. N64 games, 15, 16 years ago were like $70, for like a big higher end title. Some of them even pushed up to $80. And, people complained a lot about that switch on the current gen when games went from 50 to 60. And you think all this time has passed and games are the same price or cheaper. If you adjust for inflation, $80 back then is like what, like $100 now.
Yeah, they cost nothing in comparison.
So you're saying games are a good investment right now? I mean, put all your money in games.
Well, no, they lose their value instantly.
Well, that's true. GameStop will sell them for about 50 cents less after they buy them back for you from $5.
But it's just shocking to me that the scopes of these games and like the budgets for creating a game have exploded to these crazy numbers. You have hundreds of people working on a game, and the price is still set at 50 or 60 bucks. You can play a game for hundreds of hours, and
it is one of the
value.
only industries where the cost has remained really consistent, and they just depend on greater numbers of people buying them. Like that's
Greater
really
market influence.
Yeah, like just greater market share. I mean, how much have movie tickets gone up? They've doubled, tripled since the 80s.
When I was in high school, I used to go watch movies for $4.
I remember that. Like I remember them being like, we're gonna go. It's like $2. We're gonna go see a movie.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And now they get up to what, like 12
Oh,
if you want to
man.
see the 3Ds.
Yeah. Probably more.
It's per ticket,
Yeah.
then you got to buy food, babysitter. Man, it costs my leg.
Service charge on internet purchases, a buck or two, which I don't get. They don't have to pay anyone for the internet.
Right.
If you go up to the box office and buy a ticket, they are paying someone to do the transaction with you.
It does seem like you should save the money by buying it on the internet.
I agree. So we're talking about game revenue, selling games. Call of Duty announced in the first 24 hours they shipped $1 billion worth of games to retail.
That's sneaky though.
Which is
Yeah,
sneaky.
underhand.
But you compare that to like GTA 5, which in the first 3 days did $1 billion in actual consumer sales. So I'm curious to see how this all shakes out for Ghost, because traditionally, Call of Duty games when they launch are the biggest entertainment launch of the year. But that's not the case this time because of GTA 5.
But there's also they haven't specified what platforms they've sold into retailers. A lot of people are saying that that number probably includes the next gen versions that retailers can't sell yet, but they've been sold into.
It's got to be, because I think last year's Black Ops 2, I want to say, did 500 million.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that $1 billion would be current gen and next gen.
Well, do you
Well,
think
it would
they're
also make sense that they were just like, how can we make our numbers look better than GTA?
Yeah.
do you think they're counting people who have ordered the current gen version and the next gen version right out of the bat?
No, that doesn't matter. It's just to retailers.
Okay.
Yeah, in this particular number scenario, consumers are not remotely involved.
Okay.
Pre-order numbers don't matter. It doesn't matter what people have bought. All that matters is what have retailers bought.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's a tricky number. It's all like marketing and spin. Like, did you ship it? Did consumers buy it? What's the actual number? And I'm sure we're right at launch, so it's hard to get a solid answer. I'm sure by this time next week we'll have a real feel for how it went. And we may not even really get a true number until after Xbox One and PS4 come out.
Yeah.
Because some people will be waiting for, a next gen system to play it on.
Yeah. Is Ghosts one of the games that they're including in like those upgrade programs?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people, it doesn't actually make sense to wait and buy it if you want to like get it now and then pay $10 and then upgrade it. You keep all of your character progress and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Only multiplayer, not single player.
Not single player. Okay.
But also, I feel like that message has not been adequately conveyed to the average consumer. I feel like people who are really hardcore into games know that, but as what's
Well,
said
I
before,
mean-
Call of Duty has such a wide spread of people who play.
I would imagine the people that are really hardcore into games are the ones that are going to want both versions, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just a casual gamer and you wanted to get it early enough that you're on current gen, you're probably just going to be happy with that version.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we're just about out of time. But
Bye,
before
Stan.
before we go, there's two more things on here that I want to mention. So first of all,
And it's gone.
the studio People Can Fly got renamed to Epic Games Poland. And People Can Fly are the people who made Gears of War Judgment.
Oh, okay.
And they also did Bulletstorm.
Yes, and Bulletstorm. And supposedly they're working on Fortnite for Epic amongst a couple of other internal Epic teams. So it's interesting to see them renamed and brought in to work on
Rebranded.
such an anticipated title.
Yeah. When that was announced, I actually had a bit of confusion. I was thinking that it was the same studio that did Shadow Complex, but that's actually Chair.
Chair, yeah.
So they're like, and Epic has actually a surprising history of collaborating with other studios, given that they are so often a developer rather than a publisher.
Right.
But in this case, that's not one of them. But still, like working on like Bulletstorm and Judgment, like that's a pretty good pedigree.
Yeah. Judgment was fucking awesome.
But it also makes you wonder what Epic is working on.
That's a
Who
good
knows?
point.
The other thing I want to mention
Fortnite,
before we go is that Bungie said
my favorite measure of time.
they want. Bungie said they were talking about the beta for Destiny. They said they want 1 million people beta testing. They said that given the history of like kind of troubled online
You
launches.
mean they've been
like
paying
GTA
attention
Online,
to everything that's been happening over
they
the past
used-
few weeks?
Well, and they use GTA as this very specific
Yeah.
example.
They said they want tons of people pounding the servers. They said they want real world metrics that they can use to measure server performance so that they're not just guessing at launch day.
What's the gateway to that again? Do you have to buy something or?
If you just pre-order the game, you
Yeah, I
get
think
beta
you just
access.
pre-order.
Any pre-orders? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I normally don't pre-order, but I totally pre-ordered.
All right.
You're like, I'm gonna be one of the million.
Yeah, and I got a nifty wallpaper for my iPhone too.
That's right. I remember.
All right, we're at time, so we gotta take off. I want to thank everyone for joining us this week. We'll be back again on Monday with another episode of RT Podcast, and next Wednesday with another patch. Bye.
Bye.